Well, good morning and welcome to our February live episode of Don't Talk TV. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, and most of it seems to be along the same theme of cops gone wild. I just realized I was going to try to download the Bad Boys song from the Cops TV show to play for this episode. Didn't have time to do that because, for the same reasons that this is going to have to be a quick episode. I've got a hard stop at 9:20, just to warn you, because I need to get to court. But we do have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. Welcome to our live episode. And if you're new to the channel or you haven't done so before, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. And although, just to warn you, given the lack of views, the lack of numbers, and my increasingly busy schedule, plus my desire to possibly do something else, this is most likely we're into the last 6 months of Don't Talk TV unless something changes drastically. So watch it while you can. Richard and I have been discussing things. They're probably going to shut it down in June unless things change a lot, just given the lack of interest generally. And I think we've got almost 300 episodes. We'll probably be about 300 episodes by the time we get to the summer, or very close to it. That's a lot of content. That's a lot of educational material, if you will. But we're open to being convinced otherwise. But as I say, we've got cops gone wild. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. We've got the officers charged from Toronto Police and elsewhere by York Regional Police. We've got the OPP officer, Farrell, getting her charges dropped that we talked about a couple of years ago on Don't Talk TV. We've got cops sword fighting. We've got police arresting people on Parliament Hill for carrying a flag. So we've got a fair bit to cover in a short amount of time. Let's hear a quick word from my volunteer PR guy, Richard, who I mentioned, who makes Don't Talk TV happen.
Are you looking to increase your target market audience? Reach and/or engage with current or potential clients on social media? Or are you simply looking to rebrand or revamp a current or up-and-coming company or business? Well, look no further than RAM Design Group, Inc., your public relations insurance plan for your next company event, new product launch, or marketing campaign overhaul. RAM Design Group, Inc. specializes in marketing, event planning, product launches, communications, social media management, crisis management, copywriting, and much, much more. Please visit ramdesigngroup.inc.ca for more information, or email us at rmitchell@ramdesigngroup.inc.ca and book your company's future success today.
All right, so that's it. Let's get straight into the content here. So, I mean, this is the topic of the hour, if you will. I mean, this is all over the place. At least 9 Toronto police officers arrested in organized crime investigation, according to sources. And apparently York Regional Police are doing a press conference this morning. I'm not sure what time. As of the time that we started broadcasting, they had not started that yet. So we'll see if there's some more information. But what we do have is that the Toronto Police Association, i.e. their union, confirmed yesterday evening that several of their members have been arrested as part of an investigation that sources say is connected to organized crime and corruption. So, of course, as a union, they're going to ensure that their members receive due process and wellness support as required. They're not going to be decrying officers being involved in organized crime. So they had no further comment, but this is linked to Project South, a lengthy investigation to organized crime and corruption by York Regional Police. And the news conference is scheduled for 10 a.m. So we'll be done broadcasting by to get that. Now, this article doesn't give a whole lot of detail. There's another article I've seen that talks about this being involved with tow truck companies. There being a plot to murder a shift. There's all kinds of dirty stuff apparently going on here. So I mean, this, I think, is, well, a couple interesting things. One, I find it interesting that no names have been named yet. Seen a number of articles. I mean, it's even all over legacy media. You see a number of articles, but no names are ever named, which is interesting. It does make one wonder who these officers were that were charged, which you may know where I'm going at with that, because it seems police officers from certain demographics, like Constable Farrell, who we'll be talking about in a minute, are named and shamed when they're brought up on charges. It's just interesting here that they're not naming anyone. Here, I've got a article here from CBC, same topic: 9 Toronto police officers facing charges related to tow truck violence. So that's what I was thinking of, where they're talking about the tow truck violence. The officers are accused of trafficking, leaking addresses to hitmen, and leaking police officer addresses, according to the source. And the investigation uncovered a conspiracy to kill a unit commander at the Toronto South Detention Center, according to the sources. Now, this is interesting. Sources also told CBC News 2 of the officers appeared in court Wednesday. Now, see, this is interesting as well, because this anonymous source had to quietly tell legacy media that some of these officers have already been in court. So it's public record, yet no names are being named. Seems a little bit odd that they wouldn't be naming names. And it seems like there's a typical pattern that we see, that when it's a heritage Canadian involved in a crime, they get named. When it's someone who's not a heritage Canadian, they don't get named. So speaking of which, let's have a look at speaking of police gone wild and police of certain non-heritage Canadian demographics and some of the shenanigans they get up to without consequence. Let's look at a bit of a clip here. This is from NewsX. No idea what that is. Probably some kind of alt media, but video is video, and this does not look like AI video to me. But viewers, you can judge for yourselves if you think that this looks like.
The Sikh Global Forum gathered outside the Canadian High Commission in New Delhi to protest against the
recent
attacks on Hindu temples.
That looks like AI. I mean, this is
Brian
from
Thomas with us on the broadcast. Brian, take our viewers through the details of this new video that has now gone viral online.
Well, definitely, David, now
it has been seen in social media that pro-Palestine
opposition study are appeared to be preparing, doing
they're in uniform. They're, I mean, it's just, it's incredible. But I think this, along with the previous story, speaks to some of the consequences that can come when police are never held to account, or they're held to a different set of standards than other people. And before I talk about that more, let's talk about the example of this, the most recent example of this that I wanted to talk about. That's the case of that Constable Farrell, Barrie OPP, who we've talked about before. Episode 176 was when we talked about that. So that was all 100 episodes ago, so a couple years ago. So you may recall, this is, or if you don't, you can look at the previous video for a bit more detail, but the Coles Notes version is this officer, while on duty, entered into the home of her ex-boyfriend, openly armed, as police officers are, wearing her body armor, her whole uniform, and terrorized her ex-boyfriend and his current girlfriend. Very serious set of charges. And the fact that charges were laid, in my view, that's a sign that they had ironclad evidence, because police don't charge other police unless they have ironclad evidence. So this case should have been open and shut for the Crown prosecutor, but instead, what do we have here? We have on-duty OPP officer accused of break and enter ex-boyfriend's home, signs peace bond, charges dropped. I mean, I almost want, look at this picture. You'd think they could have found a better picture of her. I almost wonder if the legacy media pawn that had to write this was salty over her getting her charges dropped, so chose to share one of the least complimentary photos he could find. But maybe that's just what this woman looks like all the time. But I mean, she's the one who's laughing all the way to the bank with full pay and her job intact in circumstances where any civilian would be in jail for double digits of years. But yeah, it says an Ontario police officer, a provincial police officer accused of breaking into her ex-boyfriend's home while on duty 3 years ago has made a deal to have her criminal charges withdrawn. So she was accused of assault, forcible confinement, criminal harassment, mischief, breaking into a home. She entered into a peace bond to resolve her charges. So essentially, it's just her saying, okay, I won't have contact with them for a year and I'll keep the peace. And now it's all good, all is forgiven. Meanwhile, the one of the complainants, the new girlfriend who got terrorized by the old girlfriend, who is in a position of authority and weaponry, says it was 15 minutes of terror. It was very scary. She was in full uniform, had her hand on her weapon most of the time, chasing us around, trying to speak with him, yelling at me. I mean, obviously, I'm not privy to all of the evidence that the Crown attorneys had available to them, but I do think it's a reasonable inference, not speculation. It's a reasonable inference that for police to go ahead and charge a fellow police officer, they would only do that with very strong evidence. I can also say, based on 20 years of experience representing civilians, I've never represented a police officer, that any civilian charged with those serious of charges is not, in a domestic situation, is not walking away with just a peace bond. I mean, unless there's something totally insane that we don't know about that came out that these people are complete liars, this is all fabricated, the officer had a body camera on that shows it's false or something like that, which isn't the case because OPP didn't have body cameras yet back then. They do now, although I can pretty much guarantee Officer Farrell would not have turned her body camera on for this confrontation. But again, this goes back to that lack of accountability. And I think lack of accountability then leads to doing more and more things because people will get a sense of invincibility. Now, to their credit, the vast majority of police officers, notwithstanding this complete power and essential immunity to the law, do uphold the law, do obey the law. So from that perspective, it's actually quite impressive that people with absolute power, only a few of them have been absolutely corrupted. So I do say that credit is due to most officers who don't just go around doing whatever they want, even though they almost could. But that said, I think there needs to be much more accountability for police. And I think it would be better for police because I believe that if police were held to a high standard in matters like this and they had the book thrown at them, as they should. To me, people who are sworn to enforce and uphold the law should have the book thrown at them whenever they have a criminal offense. If that were to happen, people would have more respect for police. Transparency and accountability are key, and it would be to the great benefit of police, in my view. That said, moving along, I wanted to look at this. Now, this is a good example of alternate media being less than fully honest and trying to make something a little bit more than maybe it is. So this is from Mr. Sunshine Baby. A Canadian has been arrested, in all capitals, in Canada's national capital for bringing a Canadian flag to the Hill. So this sounds like some crazy totalitarian BS, right? So we've got a video of this guy being arrested. Shame on you. But shame on you. And of course, people screaming "shame on you" because that's what freedom people like to do. This video gives no context. We have no idea what happened. All we see is the arrest. Now you see another person in the background carrying a flag. That person's not being arrested for carrying a flag. With the Canadian flag. So Where it says police officers say the flag is a weapon. This is what Canada has become. So I say, well, a flag could be a weapon. If he tried hitting or did hit someone with that flag, that is a weapon. And again, note that the police were not arresting the person in the background who was carrying a flag, which suggests strongly that this is not a situation where the police are just arresting someone merely for holding a flag, and that the flag in and of itself is a bad thing. That's clearly not the case, because otherwise they would arrest everyone on the Hill without the flag. And anyone who was in Ottawa for the Freedom Convoy would no doubt agree with me that the Parliament Hill police are extremely chill, laid back police officers. Like they seemed like really decent, cool guys when I encountered them. I mean, not that the other police were bad, but they just seemed especially laid back. So I think that post is misleading because we have no context, and I'm highly anticipate it'll come out that it will not be simply for holding a flag that this person was arrested. Now, I've got just a couple of minutes left. Actually, I'm a little bit over time, but I did want to quickly... I stumbled across this video. I think it's a very a telling video, and it goes to a previous episode we did on the question of, is Canada's immigration policy an ethnic cleansing? Of course, Canada's immigration policy has changed significantly since I did that video, but I suspect that's only temporary. You know, Canada was at the beginning, but I mean, you can see how all these countries are changing drastically over time. So, yeah, people say, well, it's racism to say that there's any kind of plan to replace white people. Whether there's a plan or not, I think it's pretty clear that white people are being replaced. Now, again, put it into the context of what do we hear about colonialism, about how awful this was, that people's native homeland was taken away from them and populated by people from other countries, specifically from Europe in that case. That's essentially what's happening in Europe and North America, is that because white people are natives in Europe, they're the indigenous population of Europe, and they're being replaced by essentially colonists. Now, that said, though, I would say that the European people and Canadian people and American people own a huge share of the blame because they didn't have children, and they're, for the most part, not having children. If you don't want to be replaced, become unreplaceable by having children, because, of course, the whole justification is we need workers, we need taxpayers to support all the boomers who are retired. And there is some truth to that. If you took out all the immigrants out of Europe, their economy would probably be even more of a shambles, because there'd be half the population retired and only a quarter working. So, but anyway, check out that episode. I think Richard's put that in the comments section. It'll be in the show description as well. So, thank you for watching, all 10 of you that watch live. Pretty quiet this morning in terms of comments, but that works out all right because I have to get to court. I have to get to Superior Court too, so I've got to get changed into my barrister's robes and scurry on down there. So thank you for watching. This show is not legal advice. It's information. It's legal information and education. If you need legal advice, call a lawyer. You can get advice specific to your situation. If you want me to be that lawyer, contact information is going on the little banner on the bottom right now. If you have topics you'd like to see us cover, please send an email to don'ttalktv@protonmail.com or leave a comment in the comment section. And as I asked at the beginning, if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, please like, share, and subscribe. Even though I said I'm planning on shutting down in June, that is with the caveat that unless things change. And really the only way things will change is if there are more likes, follows, and subscriptions so that more people can be reached, and then it makes it more worthwhile to continue. So thank you again, and we'll see you for next month's live. And of course, we'll be back to our regular non-live episodes next week.